enjoyed this presentation. I'm going to come to the one next week. And yeah, I think I'll be keeping an eye out every year. Try to attend as many as I can.
TECHtober is the ultimate festival which focuses on the convergence of tech and art.
Because I come from the world of film, and so I'm just curious, like when you're approaching a project, like how is it different than a film? What are some of the differences?
Yeah, the most fundamental difference is, right, if you're doing music for film or television or YouTube short or something, it's not easy, but it's relatively straightforward, right? You have a linear piece of film, and you're mapping onto it a linear piece of music. A typical motion picture, you know, Star Wars, the motion picture, not the game, has 1,500 lines of dialogue, maybe 2,000 if it's, you know, Lord of the Rings extended cut. It's a lot, but it's manageable. Star Wars, the game, has 218,000 lines of dialogue.
Not everybody knows, you know, what it's like in a recording studio and kind of how you are set up and just kind of how that process unfolds.
Well, I mean, they put you in a booth or a room by yourself. Then there's the engineering booth that's, you know, doing all the bells and whistles. And now they always put your lines up on a computer screen, and you read the lines from the computer screen into the microphone. And so, you know, whether you're there for an hour session, a 2-hour session, a 4-hour session, you're talking the whole time.
What was the favorite project or game that I worked on? There are a couple. One was a long time ago. It's a pinball machine called Black Knight 2000. And Ed Boon, the person I mentioned, was the programmer on it. Steve Ritchie was the game designer, and he was also a guitar player, so he kind of came with his guitar. And that game was really fun just because we got very, very deep in the interactivity of it.
It's just have faith in yourself and try new things. I can't tell you how many times I, worked on interesting projects not because I knew everything, right? Because I did not know everything, right? But I was willing to try.
And he said, Ellen, have you ever written anything? And I said, well, I wrote this little song and, you know, and we played it for Jagger, and he wanted to connect it to our online interview, and I said, oh, no. The recording isn't good enough. So he paid for us to go into a recording studio and record the song. John did an arrangement on guitar, and I sang it, and then John, put it out on YouTube, and that's sort of...
Oh yeah, and the fans responded very positively.
And the thing about Wall-E is that it was a film that was not trying to be like anything else, right? Andrew Stanton took huge risks with that film. If you said, okay, I have this animated film, and the first 40 minutes there will be no dialogue.
Yeah, because there is no dialogue, yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's just kind of clicks and whistles and what have you. Okay. Yeah, huge risk. And so it's recognizing it for being as brave as it was.
I learned so much from my time at Williams because I was working next to the programmers like Ed and the designers like Steve and the artists, and you just learn about how games are made in a way that you can't really replicate. At DigiPen and some other schools too, right? We put students on interdisciplinary game teams. So you've got composers and artists and programmers and game designers and test people and so on, all working on a team together. And that's very, very good. It's a awesome thing you should look for if you're looking at going to school for this. But there's nothing quite like what you will learn from being an employee of a game company.
You've worked together several times
On stage.
On stage.
Yeah.
And you've been, and you're.
Well, and we are in games. We are both in the same game. So we're both in Team Fortress 2. We're both in Half-Life 2. The one game that
They had us record once together for Left 4 Dead 2, and we're both in Dota 2, but we never recorded together except once.
Right.
And I ended up on the cutting room floor. He's in it, but I did get to scream as the witch.
And one thing which we're really excited about is that this year, on February 5th, 2023, for the first time ever, there is a brand new Grammy category called Best Score Soundtrack for Video Games and Other Interactive Media. And so, the Grammys are finally recognizing video game music.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this presentation. I'm going to come to the one next week.
I never would have thought about the challenges associated with video game sound design versus a movie.
I never really knew how much detail went into creating audio for video games.
For example, when you're playing a video game, the sound designer doesn't know when a certain event is going to take place. So they have to have the music and sound effects ready to change or transition at any time.
Yeah, it was really enlightening to hear the process that goes into some of my favorite games I've played before.
I'm going to try to make it to all the rest of the events.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this presentation. I'm going to come to the one next week. And yeah, I think I'll be keeping an eye out every year. Try to attend as many as I can.
Great, there you go.